All right. So this is Lieutenant Colonel Mike Ditto. Thank you so much for ending the day with what it is to serve and lead and to have potentially the right haircut so that you're streamlined to lead better. So the conversation today, sir, for 8 minutes is how do you define leadership? What are your thoughts and feelings about being a leader? What are your challenges and how do you make a bold difference as a leader? I'm going to turn it over to you. The screen is yours.
Right. Well, I will start that I have lived the majority of my life with a bald head. When I returned from Afghanistan, my wife at the time took a picture of me with my newborn son, and I could see. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that what my head really looks like? And from then on out, that we're talking almost 20 years from now. I have had a bald head, and I can't say I would ever go back. And so I haven't had a haircut in almost 20 years, and I love it. Obviously, it imbues some confidence, as some of the previous speakers have alluded to. I can absolutely vouch for that. But to go back to leadership, speaking from the military perspective, although there's lots of bleed overs into the civilian side, I when I counsel some of my junior officers and junior NCOs, non-commissioned officers, on leadership specifically, it can become a complicated word. Because okay, well, what is it to be a leader? Like, okay, well, I'm in charge. Okay, well, what does being in charge mean? And um, the way that I express it is you are able to communicate with the people that you work for and work with in a way that they want you to succeed. And a lot of that boils down to interpersonal communication skills. And as an Army officer, that really is what it is. It's the art form. It's not the science. It's the art form, and you can't quantify it necessarily. The Army has tried to over the years, and I think unsuccessfully. However, it is an art form, and it really is how you communicate, smiling, having a great smile, having a great attitude, and you, with how you communicate with them, they then perform in a way that you succeed. And in the Army, it can be a violent profession at times, and allowing, wanting your subordinates, the people that work for you. Really, I like to think of myself as a servant leader, and so I work for them. But at the end of the day, they want you to succeed, and they will work towards that. And that, in my opinion, is where you've really, gotten into the deep bowels on what leadership really is. It's making the people that work for you want you to succeed. And that's a hard thing to do. It's art, it's not science. And to go back to the bald, when people see a bald, somewhat fits person, there's just something about it. You can't really, put your finger on it, but there's something about it that imbues confidence, calmness, and more than anything, just a great attitude. And I like to think, because I have always taken the servant leader philosophy, going back thousands of years, to stoic leadership. You really want to work for those that work for you, and that's really kind of how I've kind of taken my leadership philosophy over the last 24 years since I've been in the Army. Is I work for the people that work for me, and it's never let me down up until now, and so hasn't let me down yet. And yeah, it's I'll go ahead and throw a plug in for the 7 Army values. It's no coincidence. They are LDRSHIP. That you can kind of say that's leadership, and it's loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And it's one of the reasons why the 7 Army values have been around for quite some time, decades at this point, and the Army has not deviated from that. And so, if you live by those Army values that you know spell leadership, you really, really can't go wrong. And so that was a lot of talking on my part. Doctor, do you have anything that you'd like to add or ask me to expand on?
Well, first of all, thank you for a phenomenal presentation. And it is about you sharing. It is not an interview style. So you did fantastic. You said it was LDRSHIP?
Yep, LDRSHIP. Yep,
L, loyalty. D,
duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage.
I was trying to do the EA, and what I came up with, which is maybe a hit or miss, but E for ethics and A for authority, or A for America.
Yeah, I don't think you would be wrong there either.
um,
Absolutely.
I was in my science class teaching introductory physics and chemistry to a bunch of eighth graders in PG County near DC, and they found out that I had served. I don't remember if they asked me some things about myself, and I told them I didn't. I just did ROTC, and I went through basic and I advanced camp, and then I became a transportation officer. Never was really called to duty, but they thought I was absolutely crazy. They said you would die for your country. Now, a leader, I think, will die for what they believe in.
Mhm.
And I think you're a wonderful final guest for the day. And I want to give acknowledgement. I think it was Phil McClure who
Yep. Yep.
nominated. And without Phil McClure's nomination, you are not the final guest. So I just want to say a leader is someone that actually gives props to other leaders, as you
Yep.
did. You said, I work for the people because I'm a leader. You work for the people so they can actually support you and work for you. So, what do you say to someone like a child, not a child, but a high school kid, maybe, of why they should serve their country? Because it seems to be a big gap right now of misunderstanding of why you would do that.
Yeah, well, we are. I've also been an ROTC instructor myself. I came up through ROTC probably around the same time that you did.
Okay.
I went to advanced camp. That's what we called it back in the day. That's why you kind of left that breadcrumb for me to jump on. At Fort Lewis, Washington, I suspect.
Mine was Bragg.
Okay, Fort Bragg. You were actually before me then.
Yeah.
You're a little bit before my time.
Well, I'm
But
96.
regard.
I mean, when you're
Okay.
bald, no one knows how old you are. I'm 40 years older than most people think.
Okay. I was 2002.
Okay, I was 90. I was early
Advanced
90s.
camp at Fort Lewis, and so, but regardless, there is clearly a gen, the term generational gap, I think, is overused in this day and age. Really, I think we really need to just get back to the basics. It's what I try to teach to my soldiers, my young officers, that how about we stop focusing on all of not just the chaos in the world, not just how complicated things are and how technologically driven our society is, but how about we just do the basic things really, really well?
Hmm,
And when you think about it from that perspective, it's okay. How can I just be polite with good manners? Just do that to the very, very best of your ability, because that's the right thing to do.
it is.
How can I just be a good, kind person? Okay, it's simple, but not necessarily easy, and that's another distinction I like to convey to again my soldiers, my junior officers, is things can be simple, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're easy. And how we grew up in the 80s and 90s, it really was a different world. It really was, and I tend to think that I would like to get back to those basic things. Like treat people with kindness, treat people with respect, and I'll tell you, you really can't go wrong. You
Uh,
really can't go wrong when you're kind, respectful, polite, and a lot of things kind of fall into place when you follow those basic, simple tenets. And that's one of the things I go with in the Army. A lot of it translates to training and my part, like being able to talk on a radio, being able to use your individually assigned weapon correctly. A lot of those basic, simple things really tend to stand out. Not easy, especially if you want to be really, really good at it, but they are simple. And I think today's society could probably take a lot away from doing the basic, simple things really, really well.
well, when you went to the LDR and it was the EA left, the reason I brought up the E for ethics is that was the most pivotal conversation in our ROTC class when we talked about ethics and morals. That
Yep,
is, you see something wrong, even at the risk of your career, you'll call it out. That's a very big
yep,
step. And you could be
yep,
ostracized. And that is a scary piece. And there are people that lose their careers. And I don't mean to enter on a downer, but the point is, are you living to be a leader? Because you're rewarded in the end because you go up the channel, not down. Like you may have an ethical decision as a leader, but you are actually making the right decision for you to live bigger. And and so
yep.
I just want to commend you and thank you for bringing that in. I think we're going to actually have the leadership across and America be the A, because this has been,
There you go.
I think so far, this has been all American leaders talking about this that are bald, the brothers and sisters. I will certainly send you a link. I know you were training all day. And yeah, thank you again for your service. How can people connect with you and support you?
So this
Yeah,
is
not
this
really.
might
Yeah.
come as a surprise. I have actually only had an email account. I have never been on social media.
Yep, I bet.
Um, I I don't want to say it's well, it has been. I will say it's been kind of just something that I felt very strongly about that I don't participate in social media. And that obviously has its downsides with connection in this day and age. However, I feel that it's been a net positive for me to reach out the hard way. We'll call it the hard way, through word of mouth, through Phil,
Yep.
when it comes to these types of events. And if people would like to contact me, I will absolutely share my email with you, and you can share it with other people. But as far as social media, minus YouTube and some YouTube comments and things like that, which I've been known to participate in, I tend to stay off social media platforms. And right, wrong, or indifferent, it is what it is. But I'll absolutely share my Gmail email with you, Ken, and we can, if anybody wants to reach out to me, via that platform, they're more than welcome to.
Well, that's not a platform, but that's a communication directive to you, and I appreciate that. So I have Lieutenant Colonel Mike Ditto's cell phone and his email, and I would never give it out unless it is the right appropriate person that needs to speak to him. So I will give out an email if you need
For
to.
sure.
And by the way, if it wasn't for Phil, I wouldn't know Lieutenant Colonel Ditto. So I'll respect the fact that you have one channel, but as a bonus, as candy for you giving to this platform with no give back, I want to ask you maybe two or three more quick questions, just fun ones. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Who is who's your hero? More as a leader,
My hero is my dad. It's my father.
father,
Yep.
and was
My,
he a
my, my
was he a
father, for I'm sure my son thinks the same way of me, or I would hope he did. For all of my father's flaws, I can't imagine a better way to grow up and a better figure to have raised me. Absolutely, my father.
Did he by chance serve? Did
He was a Coast Guard, a career Coast Guard officer, believe it or not.
I
And
believe it?
so,
Apple
yeah,
doesn't fall far
yeah.
short.
Both my mom and my dad were career Coast Guard officers. My mom ended up outranking my father, although my dad did serve 8 years prior enlisted before he became an officer. And so She had a slight leg up, but yeah, both my parents, my father were career Coast Guard officers. My dad has some pretty awesome stories about when he was on an icebreaker that went down to the Antarctic in the late '60s. And so yeah, he is the reason that I was motivated at a very young age to sign up to serve. The Coast Guard wasn't in the docket for me, but as a matter of fact, a slight aside, not to belabor the point, but I actually asked my parents when I was becoming of age to join the military. I said, I'm thinking about maybe just carrying on the tradition. And they knew my temperament, and they said, I don't think the Coast Guard's probably for you, Mike. I think maybe the Marine Corps or the Army, and the Army it is. So, yeah.
Awesome. Next question for you is since you know your mom and dad, they are off the plate. It's who would you want to meet that you think is the ultimate leader, living or not?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Uh, living or not? Um, I would, I would. This could be a controversial answer, but I would say Douglas MacArthur.
Okay.
Um, he was I've worked for very divisive figures in my career. I think he was probably one of them. He has gone down as a hero. Having really been decisive in the victory of the Pacific in World War II,
Right.
but an incredibly divisive figure. I've read his memoir. I lived in Norfolk, Virginia when my parents were still in the Coast Guard, and that's where the MacArthur Memorial actually is, and I've been there many times. And now that I've had some life experience in the rearview mirror, I think he would probably be at or near the top of the list. I would love to meet this man, and just talk with him a little bit because man, what a crazy character he was, hated by a lot, loved by a lot. And those are the types of characters that I tend to kind of gravitate towards. Ulysses S. Grant would be another one. Probably, close second, loved by many, hated by many. Those are the types of figures that I kind of gravitate towards just because I'm like, man, what would it be like to be in a room with this person?
Well, I think even potentially the bigger question is without General Douglas MacArthur or Ulysses S. Grant, or I'll throw in one more name, Winston Churchill, would our
Yep.
world be what it is today? Because divisive or not,
Life
get
changing.
the
Life.
job done. And Patton too, by the way.
Yep. 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 All of them. It is not outside of the realm of possibility to say, would we be here
Right.
if not for these individuals? Like they really did have that
Relentless.
levity to them. Like, would we even be here without for them?
Right.
So,
And
yep.
just for a fun question, do you have a
Mhm.
favorite military movie?
Oof, 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 oof. So the obvious choice is Saving Private Ryan,
Yes.
although I will say that the
Well,
Thin Red Line,
since I haven't talked military and we don't know if we're going to do an interview together, I will tell you
sure.
mine, Black Hawk Down.
You really can't just pick one. I mean,
I
they're
know.
all so good. But the Thin Red Line, I mean,
That is amazing.
it
Yes.
it captures the true deep human experience of the gravity of war.
Yeah.
And on a level that most people would find probably odd and bizarre. I don't. But yeah, the thin red line is probably up there. Black Hawk Down. I just watched that the other night. Actually, it's funny you bring that up with my wife. She had never seen it before, and just yeah. I mean, incredible cinematography, incredible directors. It really
Ridley
is.
Scott was the perfect
Oh,
director.
I'll send you a link to a podcast that I follow from a gentleman called Ward Carroll. I don't know if you've heard of him or not,
Have not.
but he did an interview with one of the individuals that Top Gun was based off of.
Wow.
and it's pretty incredible. I'll send you the link to the podcast. I think you'll get a kick out of it. But yeah, just an amazing individual. It's an absolute shame, to have lost him. Um, a while back. It really is a shame because he was definitely one of the greats for sure.
The thing that is so remarkable in a movie like Black Hawk Down is they had to make a documentary about how badass it really was. Like that's
Oh yeah.
the documentary is equally good. And
To have the actual Somalis that
yes,
were on the other side of the trigger, I don't know how that I don't know how they pulled that off. I don't know how they found these people, but it was a world class documentary that yeah my fellow battle buddies here are like did you watch that Black Hawk Down documentary? I'm like yeah, like how crazy is that?
well, God bless you, Mike.
Yeah.
So glad that we could end the call with patriotism and unfortunately, the American hero is not celebrated at the highest level, but those people they make our country safe, and
Oh, for sure.
so
Yep. It takes volunteers. It takes volunteers, and once we lose that volunteer spirit, we probably ought to start taking an azimuth check
right.
on where we're headed. And so, no, again, I appreciate you, inviting me on here to share a few words of wisdom, if you can call it that.
You definitely
Um,
did,
I,
sir.
I absolutely please reach out if you want to do another interview. I love doing this kind of stuff. And yeah, God bless this country. God bless you guys. I got to listen to the several guests before me, all great Americans,
Yeah.
and God bless America.
Well, I'll tell you, just to end, I think we may have one more guest, but if we don't, the culminating message for me is you called it volunteerism to be a leader or to be an American, warrior. I
Yeah.
would I would almost translate it into God's terms, which are free will, the free will
Yep.
to be a servant leader, a free will to protect your constitution and the people you believe should be free. So
Yep.
so thank you, sir.
100% agree. I couldn't have put it better myself.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show and the BaldAthon. Damn, you got a good haircut. I mean, you just got to
All
shave.
right. I shaved it nice and smooth this morning just for this.
I hope to meet you soon, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate everything.